Hello and welcome to the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. This weekend is the season opener and we're at Brands Hatch, firm favourite among the paddock. However, we do have quite a large grid this year and that means a lot of new faces. So there's a lot to get through, so we're going to jump straight into it and hand it over to Andy.
Yeah, thanks very much, Lyndsay. Race 1B about to get underway here at Brands Hatch. The grid headed by Owen Mills with Richard Baxter alongside. Oliver Sieg and Tom Smith are next, ahead of Michael Nibbs and Clive Chisnall, with Graham Rumsey and Alan Hawkins on the fourth row. Sam Jarvis and Matthew Fletcher round out the top 10, ahead of Ollie Jenkins and Charles Mugglestone. Tom Mallet and Ivan Leary are next, then Richard Bartlett and Jack Moody round out the top 16 on the grid. We've got over 60 cars entered this weekend for the opening round of the Mazda MX-5 Championship, which means that once again the field are split into their now customary A and B groups. The A group is made up by the top 30 or so, 31 I think it is to be precise, qualifiers. The bottom 31 qualifiers are in Group B. You can only score the maximum 100 points for winning an A race, but the B drivers still have plenty to fight for because the top 5 finishers from this race get promoted onto the A grid for race number 2. So that's what we're watching for here. As for the B drivers of the Mazda MX-5 Championship, the season gets underway here at an overcast Brands Hatch. It's a mixed start, not a good one from Richard Baxter from the outside of row 1, but from the outside of row 2 it's a storming start by Tom Smith, who will lead them into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, charging around the outside there. Lots of changing positions in the opening corner. Let's hope they all safely get through though. Tom Smith leads the way, second place is Alan Hawkins, going for third up the inside of Owen Mills, the orange car, the 22, who started from pole position, so things not going to plan for him. Several weird and wacky lines being taken through Druids for the first time. There's a spin in the pack and it's number 78 that goes around by Richard Bartlett and gets collected, oh dear, by several other drivers. 42 involved there, that's Toby Owen. On board here with Bruce Robinson, who just had nowhere to go. He collects Bartlett and also collects Owen and several others as well involved. This was on board with Bruce Robinson for the back and bang! Oh, that was a really big hit from behind. So that's Jake Stiles, I think, got into him, wasn't it? Jake Stiles, who we expected to make good progress from the back of the field. There are several stricken cars. That is at the very least going to require a safety car, possibly a red flag to get the cars moved out of the way. So not the start we wanted here for the B drivers here at Brands Hatch, but these are some of the less experienced drivers out there, I guess, so maybe a little bit hot-headed on the opening lap of the season. Anyway, the field coming through to complete lap number 1, there's no doubt about it. Tom Smith from 4th on the grid is your early race leader, with Alan Hawkins going after him in 2nd position. Are we going to see a safety car? I did see the safety car being sort of ushered down the pit lane at fairly rapid speed then, but it leaves the pit lane actually halfway along the Cooper Straight. It doesn't leave at pit lane exit, it goes through the back entrance of the paddock, so if it does pick them up, it will be after the accident site, unfortunately, which is just on the exit of the corner. I'm assuming we still have cars in the road. Yes, we do. Oh, and now the safety car being scrambled, but that was a very late call. And, well, I hope we didn't have any significant contact in the pack there, but that was... I'm surprised, in a way, the safety car was scrambled so late. And, of course, because the safety car had only just made it back into the pit lane, it follows the field round on the first lap and then comes into the pit lane and usually parks up at the end of it. That's the trouble. If one driver sees the yellow flag and the cars behind are so closely bunched that they don't see it, they can sometimes think that the other cars are slowing down for no reason and that that's their opportunity to go past. So you can see how yellow flag infringements happen. It's still not right. You should slow down and respect the yellow flag rules, which are slow down and no overtaking. But sometimes, if you don't spot the yellow flags, you can get yourself in trouble without even meaning to. But I think they've all sorted it out, more or less. Yeah, Jake Stiles qualifying badly on the B grid, no chance of really good points in this race, and then because of that damage not been able to make his way up the order into a promotion spot as he would have hoped to do. So Stiles will be looking towards race 2 tomorrow to really try and improve his weekend's prospects. He'll be certainly glad of the drop score system this weekend with our race leaders, and with traffic now for Tom Smith to deal with. That's the 68 car about to go a lap down. That shouldn't take too much doing. No, out on the inside of Ashley Heath, one of the Masters drivers, and Tom Smith, having felt the pressure from Mugglestone mid-race, is now starting to pull away again, isn't he? Mugglestone's still there, he's not that far behind, within a second or so, but that means he's just started to lose the slipstream now, and that means that Tom Smith may be able to get his head down and pull ever further away. We're into the closing stages of the race anyway. Charles Mugglestone, as he completes the manoeuvre on Ashley Heath, in fact does go on to the final lap of the race, and I don't think he's be able to go after the race leader Tom Smith. But it doesn't really matter, it's only a couple of points difference, and the main priority for these drivers was to get themselves in the top 5 positions and promoted onto the A grid. So it looks unlikely that we will see Tom Smith or Charles Mugglestone in the next B race, because they will be on the back of the A grid, and then we'll wait and see whether or not they can stay there, or whether they can whether they get demoted back onto the B grid again later on. Down the Cooper Straight, one more back marker up the road, but Tom Smith may or may not catch it before the flag. And the BS Motorsport prepared car, beautifully prepared car as well, and they're always quick. And I think we'll see Tom Smith make further progress up the A grid a bit later on this weekend. But for now, it is going to be the first B race victory of the season, and it's going to go the way of Tom Smith. A brilliant drive. The start is where he did most of the hard work, going from 4th to 1st, and he takes the checkered flag in the first B race of the year. Charles Mugglestone from 12th on the grid, though, is perhaps even more impressively in 2nd place, with Jack Moody rounding out the podium finishes. So a brilliant victory there for Smith. Mugglestone 2nd, Moody 3rd, and Baxter 4th, with Michael Nibbs rounding out the top 5. Alan Hawkins, Owen Mills, Matthew Fletcher, Clive Chisnell and Bryn Griffiths round out the top 10, but it is just those top 5 drivers that get promoted. Ivan Leary, Sam Jarvis, Ollie Jenkins, Graham Rumsey and Joe Wilmot had exciting races. They're just outside the top 10, and the rest of them file through behind. We lost quite a few though. Andrew Barrett retired, so did Richard Bartlett, John Wood, Bruce Robinson and Simon Ricketts. They were all involved in that first lap skirmish. And of course, Oliver Sieg did finish on the road, but was later excluded from the meeting. So, unfortunately for Oliver Sieg, driving in a manner incompatible with general safety means he is excluded from the result.
So, Tom, this must be a big moment for you, because you've just taken the win in 1B.
Yeah, we won the race. Shouldn't really have been in the B final, I don't think. It was really nice to win, though, to be fair. It's the first ever thing I've ever won in a car, so my first weekend in the Mazdas. So yeah, pretty good.
So how did you find it going around with our Mazdas?
The B race is quite timid, actually. I'm looking forward to getting in with the A boys, because some of them look out of control, so I'm looking forward to mixing it with them tomorrow. So
is there a game plan already in place?
Yeah, we need to find about 1.5 seconds a lap. So if we can find that, we'll be okay, and I'll go after Mr. Short, but without that, I'm just going to be driving around in the middle somewhere, aren't I? So hopefully we're going to find some speed overnight. So.
We wish you the best of luck at that, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Race 2B here today in what is a very sunny Brands Hatch. Bit of a comparison from yesterday, but even more of a comparison, we have Tom Jenkins, our newcomer of the season, starting on pole, and we have Richard Puttin starting in 2nd. Now, Richard did a few races with us last year, so he is a little bit more experienced than Tom, so it's going to be interesting to see how they get off the line. But we're going to jump straight into all the action and hand it over to Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. Well, those two are at the front of the B grid because they were at the back of the first A race. So Jenkins and Wootton joined by Marcus Bailey and the two non-finishers from race 1A, David Waters and William Hayden, and they replaced the top 5 B runners from yesterday's race who have been promoted. Alan Hawkins, Owen Mills, Clive Chisnell just missed out on promotion spots, so too did Bryn Griffiths and Ivan Leary, who round out the top 10. The rest of them, though, they line up as they finished the previous race, and they'll all be looking for those promotion spots. We've got a few gaps potentially at the back of the field where we had our non-finishers from the early incident in race 1B. Hopefully we'll get them all cleanly through the first few corners on this occasion. So Thomas Jenkins and Richard Wootton then making up the front row of the grid. The green flag flies. Much warmer conditions here this morning at Brands Hatch than we saw yesterday. Will that have an effect on tyre wear? I wonder. We'll wait and see as the lights go out. Away we go. Some away quicker than others. On board here with the 45 car who gets put into the pit wall. Oh my goodness me. That was Graham Rumsey, and that, I'm afraid, could be the end of his race already, but there was just no room there for them all to get, even before they reached the first corner, before they started making contact. And Graham Rumsey, I'm sure, will have sustained some sort of damage in that. How bad it is, I'm not too sure. Anyway, in all of the drama, I missed who got the lead into turn number 1. I think it is still Thomas Jenkins that leads the way. Through Druids they go. 3 and 4 wide behind. Oh, let's get through Druids before we start having accidents this time. I think they just about will. Oliver Jenkins, that was, the white and red car getting squeezed out wide. Just in front of him, the number 74 car trying to make progress on the outside is Clive Chisnell. We're on board with Clive now as we go down the Cooper Straight towards Surtees. Can we turn it to the apex? Yes, we can, so that means there's no one on the inside of us. In fact, we're closing the gap there on the group of cars in front. No move made this time though, through clearways they go. There's contact in front there. Really good reactions there from Chisnell. That was, yeah, the 722 car of Alan Hawkins, slow again off the corner. Now we saw this, remember, in the first race where he was running inside the top 2 or 3, and just after the safety car restart, really slowed out of Druids and got overtaken by several people. So I wonder if there is a gearbox issue with that car that they haven't quite got to the bottom of yet. 3 wide through Paddock Hill Bend, though this must end well. Surely Bryn Griffiths, the man on the outside line, at the front of the field, though. It is Thomas Jenkins that leads the way. There's contact further back, dearie me. It's a very, very robust start to the race. That was number 54, Marcus Bailey, getting into the back of somebody. David Waters, potentially, that was. And very nearly getting airborne. Meanwhile, we've had the change for the lead whilst that was all going on, and it's William Hayden, who non-finished in the first A race. He's got the lead now in this one, and William Hayden, who qualified okay, but just unfortunately didn't finish the first A race, and that means that he is not only demoted to the B grid, but he actually starts behind those that did finish the first A race and also got demoted, so that's why he started down in 5th on the grid. He and David Waters, the 2 non-finishers from race 1A, therefore they get demoted for race 2B. Well, there is the 722 car of Alan Hawkins, who again finds himself with it all to do. He's behind Bryn Griffiths now. The car seems quick again now. This was exactly what happened in the first race. It slowed all of a sudden and then never seemed to do it again after that. So, I don't know, fuel pickup issue maybe, although that's unlikely on a full tank of fuel, which they should all have now at the start of the race. So, not sure what the problem is, but the car seems okay, and he's now starting to apply the pressure to Bryn Griffiths as they drop down the hill. Clive Chisnell not that far in front, and in fact he might go right around the outside of Bryn Griffiths here. Oh, do they lean on each other? No, I think they just about kept it clean. That was a really brave move by Alan Hawkins, and he's gone through, and Bryn Griffiths could lose another place here. This is the fight for the race lead, and whilst Marcus Bailey has been right with William Hayden all race long, he's not really been able to mount a serious challenge. And as we get now into the closing stages, you have to ask the question, is he going to go for the race victory, or is he going to settle for 2nd position? David Waters has the fastest lap, so that's that bonus point gone. Neither of them likely to beat him to that lap time. So really, it's only a 2-point difference here that these two are fighting for, and whilst they're safely in the promotional spots, it may not be worth taking a big risk. Waters, though, is into 3rd. He's finally got past Thomas Jenkins, who's got Richard Wotton closing in, and Clive Chisnell there, the silver car with the orange stripe, desperately trying to get into the top 5. But he's running out of time to do it now. Across the start-finish line we go. This battle's still raging on behind as well. Single file on this occasion through Paddock Hill Bend, the packed outer paddock there that you could see in the distance. Lots of interested onlookers up against the fence in the paddock there. Richard Wotton getting sideways, did not need to do that because here comes Clive Chisnell, and Chisnell sensing a chance now, his best opportunity so far maybe to make it into those all-important top 5 positions. Richard Wotton does not need to be throwing the car sideways through any corner on the circuit really, let alone Druids. Richard, as we heard Lyndsay saying pre-race, one of the less experienced drivers on the grid, but doing well to be running in the top 5 here, albeit in the B grid. It's still a strong pace being run here by the race leaders. Fastest lap from David Waters in this race of 57.9, which is within about half a second or so of the fastest lap from the A races. So, as I said, there isn't that much of a speed differential between the 2 grids. On to the final lap of the race now, though, and there's traffic right in front of the race leader, and they're side by side as well. That is not what the number 65 car of William Hayden wanted to see, and this is Marcus Bailey's best opportunity now to try and go for the race victory. Looks to the inside at Druids, looks back to the outside at Druids, and this may just have unsettled William Hayden enough for him to make a mistake and maybe allow Marcus Bailey through. It doesn't happen at Druids. Down the hill towards Graham Hill Bend they go again, through the left-hander, and for the time being Hayden fends him off. Just half a lap to go, and only really one more overtaking opportunity, and that is Clearways, the right-hander coming up momentarily. Surtees is flat out, but if you carry good speed out of here, you can have a go on the brakes up the inside line, but it looks as though Hayden's going to defend. Oh, there's a bit of contact nearly between the two of them there. Hayden sideways, gathers it all together, and Marcus Bailey, well, I was going to say we'll have to settle for 2nd place, but then Hayden got sideways, and Bailey will carry much more speed onto the pit straight. Is he going to get there in time? The answer is no, and it will be William Hayden who wins race 2B at Brands Hatch. Marcus Lucas Bailey is in second place, and David Waters, a very, very hard-fought third place for him from Thomas Jenkins, and Richard Wootton does hold on to the final promotional spot, with Clive Chisnell just missing out in the end. There's confirmation of your result then. Hayden, Bailey, Waters, Jenkins and Wootton are your top 5, with Clive Chisnell 6th, Wilmot 7th, Alan Hawkins 8th, Owen Mills 9th and Sam Jarvis rounding out the top 10. Then Ollie Jenkins, Bryn Griffiths, Christopher Ginn, Christy and Dan and Ivan Leary to round out the top 15 finishers. David Waters there, as I said, with the fastest lap of 57.9. Be interesting to see what he can do from the A race later on. And Oliver Sieg disqualified from the weekend, unfortunately, so he will not be classified as a finisher, and Simon Ricketts was not classified as a starter. Unfortunately, the damage sustained yesterday too severe, and he did not make it out onto the grid.
I must say, to start off with, congratulations on your first ever win.
Cheers, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting it, to be honest, at all. So to come out with a win, I'm surreal, super happy, especially after yesterday having a broken drive shaft. Didn't even make it into the A race, so yeah, I'm loving life at the moment. Brilliant.
Well, Marcus seemed to keep you true on that.
Marcus pushed me. He pushed me. To be fair to him, he's a really good driver, and he was pushing me really, really hard. But luckily, I managed to hold him back just one more lap, and I think it would have been a bit tricky too. But yeah, got it there in the end.
Well, back into the A's for this afternoon.
Yeah, I'll be pushing hard as possible. Hopefully, get in top 15.
It's the third and final race here at Brands Hatch, and 3B is about ready to get out on track. Now, if the first two are anything to go by, this one isn't going to disappoint, especially when you consider half of this grid is all filled with newcomers. So we're going to hand it straight over to Andy to run you through all of the action.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, the big story here is that we have a pretty high-profile driver joining in with the B race here. Charles Mugglestone and Michael Nibbs are on row 1 with Nick Ledoy in 3rd, but John Langridge, potential championship contender this year, had a non-finish in race 2A, so he is back on the B grid here for race number 3. Clive Chisnell, Joe Wilmot, Alan Hawkins, Owen Mills, Sam Jarvis and Oliver Jenkins round out the top 10. A couple to watch for a little bit further back as well. Richard Bartlett should be fairly quick, I think, in car number 78, if he's got that car fixed after yesterday's off. Jake Styles as well. Let's hope the number 2 car is handling, or is going a little bit quicker, a little bit more reliably now than it has been so far this weekend. But yes, John Langridge then was nerfed out of the lead after a bit of contact with Will Blackwell Chambers in race 2A. Blackwell Chambers went on to finish 2nd. No penalty was given, but John Langridge, with a retirement, has to start from 4th in the B race, which means the maximum amount of points he's likely to score is something like 40 or 41 points, I think, in this one. Let's see what happens, though, as the lights go out, and away we go, and it's a bad start there, unfortunately, for Alan Hawkins. That 722 car seems to be very up and down this weekend, doesn't it? On board with Charles Mugglestone, and there is Langridge, the grey car with the green wheels and headlights and wing mirrors. And John Langridge not in the lead at the moment, though. Mugglestone is ahead of him, and I think Mugglestone may well have held on to the race lead here in the early going, but John Langridge definitely the early race favourite. Mugglestone will be keen to try and keep him behind for as long as possible, that is for sure. Down the hill we go, we're leaning on each other here, 3 abreast further back as we head into Greyville Bend, and some really interesting lines being taken there, but John Langridge wasting no time in getting the lead away here. He cannot afford to get caught up in anyone else's battles here. He just needs to win the race, try and set fastest lap if at all possible as well for another couple of points, and he works his way now out of clearways for the first time, and Langridge is looking now a fairly safe bet already, you'd have to say, for the race victory, but 40 points or so, which is what a race victory race B tends to win you. Compare that to the 100 points you get for winning an A race, and you can see why it's such a disaster for a championship contender like Langridge to find himself back here in the B races. However, everyone else is still looking to try and end their season, or end their weekend, I should say, on a high here. As up the hill we go, with Bryn Griffiths there getting elbowed onto the grass. Oh dear, that was all a bit clumsy, wasn't it? Was that Jarvis? It was, wasn't it? Yeah, Sam Jarvis was defending from Griffiths, put Griffiths on the grass, and then outbraked himself and ran into Alan Hawkins. So not making friends there is Sam Jarvis, but I suppose that's not what you're here to do, is it? You're here to try and finish as high up the order as possible, and Sam Jarvis is aiming to do that by whatever means necessary, it would seem. He survives unscathed by the looks of it. These cars fairly robust, as we've seen already this weekend. Just up in front of him there, the number 43 car trying to make a move, not quite able to do it that time. Into clearways was Joe Wilmot, and then Clive Chisnell behind, who missed out on a promotional spot in the previous race by just one position, just by a few tenths of a second. On board with Mugglestone in second place, though, looking to the outside line is Nick Ledoyen in the red car. There was another demotee from the A race earlier on, not for retirement though, just because he was the last remaining finisher. Over the curbs there for Mugglestone as he held on to the place. No, he hasn't. Ledoyen's gone through, so Nick Ledoyen in the red car into second place now. Mugglestone third, and then fourth in the yellow machine is Michael Nibbs, who was also demoted from the A race. As you'd expect, those A race demotees tend to be able to stay near the front of the field, but not always the case. They're sometimes met with much fiercer competition in this B race than they expected. Nice move being made there by number 57 up the inside line. That's Oliver Jenkins on Clive Chisnell, who races already starting to unravel slightly. Sort of had him down for a potential podium in this race, but it's not going to happen by the looks of it, at least not if this pace is anything to go by. This is the fight for the lower steps on the podium, because John Langridge has checked out already, and Charles Mugglestone, who was thinking about attacking for second there, now actually has to turn his attention to defending his third place, because he runs wide at Clearways. I'm fairly confident we're going to have more action in a moment or so, and it could be Bryn Griffiths that makes the next move as he tries to work his way further up this pack of cars. There he is, the blue and gold car pulls to the outside line, and again Mugglestone just struggling in a straight line for whatever reason. The cars are all of course prepared to the same set of regulations, but sometimes if you've got some sort of underlying engine issue, you could be down on horsepower, and that seems to be the case for Mugglestone. Behind them there was an overtake as Clive Chisnell was passed by Alan Hawkins, so Chisnell's race going from bad to worse to even worse really now, as he's in danger of falling outside the top 10. Hill, deep breath everybody, into the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, the 25 car there, which we haven't seen for a little while. That's Ivan Leary. He is right in the wing mirrors now of Charles Mugglestone. Mugglestone's sick of seeing his car behind him, I'm sure, sick of seeing anyone behind him. He's been under pressure, it seems, right from the drop of the green flag. Just in front of him now is the Michael Nibbs and Oliver Jenkins squabble. Makes its way onto the front straight yet again. Another lap about to begin. This battle, I think, is going to rage right the way down to the checkered flag, isn't it? Mugglestone, a bit of a cork in the bottle here, just because he's so slow in a straight line, but there's nothing more he can do about that. Round the outside of him, attempts to go Ivan Leary, and then Bryn Griffiths trying to get up the inside of him as well. Oh, Leary sideways into Bryn Griffiths. Oh no, there's contact, and Griffiths is going to hit the barriers heavily, and that was a big shunt there. Ivan Leary lost it round the outside, and unfortunately the poor Bryn Griffiths had absolutely nowhere to go. Collided with him and went straight into the barriers, and well, it looks as though Leary's going to continue, albeit with a wounded car. No, he thinks better of it, pulls off to the side of the road. Bryn Griffiths is stranded the wrong way in the middle of the road. That is at the very least going to be a safety car, possibly even a red flag. I hope it's not the latter, because we're running late in the day here and we're a bit late on the timetable, so they may not have the chance to restart the race. There's Charles Mugglestone trying to make some positions up before that potentially happens. As up towards Paddock Hill Bend we go once again, but that was a big old incident, and yeah, the red flags fly, unsurprisingly. I don't think it's because Bryn Griffiths or Ivan Leary are injured in that accident, it's simply because both cars are in dangerous positions, and there simply isn't the time to sit around behind the safety car. It's going to take most of the rest of the race to clear that up, so they're going to throw the red flag early. In reality, they're only going to lose about 3 or 4 racing laps at the most, I think, because most of the rest of the 10 minutes would have been spent behind the pace car anyway. So John Langridge gets himself a race victory, but it's in the B race, and he won't be too happy with that. Nick Ledoyen is second from Joe Wilmot, Michael Nibbs and Oliver Jenkins fifth. Sam Jarvis was sixth from Charles Mugglestone seventh. He'll be wanting to improve the horsepower and straight line speed of that car, I think, for the next round. Alan Hawkins, Clive Chisnell and Owen Mills round out the top 10. Unsurprisingly, it's John Langridge who won the race by 14.4 seconds, made all the more impressive by the fact that that was only a half race distance as well, but he set the fastest lap too. There was quite a long list of retirements. Oliver Sieg and Richard Bartlett were non-starters as well. A dramatic end to the day's proceedings then here at Brands Hatch. Not enough time to get the race restarted, so John Langridge is your final race winner of the weekend.